there is no shortage of reasons that having a character like Naru be the action hero in a movie like this is an incredible feat and move. I think having an Indigenous female action hero is historic. And I think it's an incredible thing that Dan and 20th Century did to have such a vote of confidence toward Indigenous people and Indigenous storytelling to get behind having a figure like that people can hopefully look at and feel connected to or inspired by, and also hopefully that is represented in a way that is, I think, grounded and human and relatable and also very cool. I first auditioned for this film and for the role of Naru in February of 2020 was the first time that I ever met Dan. And then this film disappeared for a while and came back, and I never had any idea that it was a Predator film. I only knew that it was a movie about a young Comanche woman who wanted to be a hunter, and I thought that she was very interesting. I really connected with her for some reason, and I thought that the movie, what little I knew about it, the concept was unique, and I'm a huge fan of Dan. I think I think the world of him and his ability as a filmmaker, and also a person. So all of those things were already enough for me. And then later I found out that it was a part of the Predator world. Naru is determined. She is stubborn. She's focused. She's the kind of person that the more you tell her no, the more she wants to prove yes. And she is instinctive, she has this idea of where she should be, or this feeling of being drawn to something, even though people are constantly telling her to do something else or go somewhere else. She has a feeling about where she really belongs and what she really should be doing. And I think the way that she follows her intuition and the way that she follows her instincts are unique and interesting and carry her through quite the journey. There was not a day of this film that did not present challenges. So it's hard to say, it's hard to pick any one thing in particular that was most challenging about playing this role or making this movie. But I mean, the concept of the idea of not wanting to let anybody down, this obviously takes place 1719 in the Comanche Nation. And I'm not Comanche. I am Lakota, Nakota, and Dakota. So I also come from Plains people, but Comanches were incredible warriors and they were incredible hunters. So it was important to me to represent their people well and to do right by the Comanche people, on top of obviously just wanting to be skilled, and even working with somebody like Dan, wanted to never, come in always prepared or always ready to do my best, or face whatever physical challenge there was going to be. I mean, there's truly no shortage of things that made this movie unique. I am Lakota, Nakota, and Dakota. So those are all Plains tribes. So I do come from Plains people, and the Comanche people are also Plains people, though they are obviously a completely different, tribe than me and than I grew up in. But the Comanche culture and my culture do share some similarities. So the process of learning about that was really special to me and unique to be able to show up to work and I was supposed to be learning about, the Comanche people and the Comanche Nation and Comanche history. And so that to me was really fun. And I really felt privileged by that. And it was amazing to learn about, different things that we share, different places where we differ. And of course, if somebody were representing my people, I would take that seriously. And so representing, Comanche people, I definitely took that seriously. A huge thing that made this film unique was how collaborative Dan is, and how kind and grounded and open. I think he really put a huge effort into making an environment where everybody felt cared for and everybody felt comfortable and supported. And from the beginning, he was so open to, especially with culture stuff, but with anything, like hearing everybody and wanting to know, like, if you have any ideas of little culture things that can be incorporated, or this stuff or this thing, like just so open and so willing to learn and hear people. So I am so grateful for that experience.
This being my first acting role, it kind of came about in a strange way. I had auditioned for kind of this open audition thing that I saw on Instagram a couple years ago, and that ended up getting canceled because of COVID. And honestly, I'm not sure how big of a part I was even meant to play in that. So I just kind of kept doing my thing. I was working a regular job and playing music at night and on the weekends, trying to do that. And then I got an email from this casting agent, this major casting agent, and she said, "I want you to audition for this small part in this movie." And I said, "Oh, okay." And so I did, and I sent in a self-tape. And then I did a Zoom audition with Dan and Jane. And then I think I did another one. And then they flew me out to LA for this screen test with Amber and a couple other people that they were looking at. And it was at that point I started to realize this doesn't seem like a small part. I don't think they would fly me out if I, was playing some small role. Then Dan FaceTimes me a few weeks later, and what do you know it? I got the part in a Predator movie. I was semi-familiar with the Predator franchise before I got the role. Most of my experience was with the first one. You hear those iconic lines everywhere you go. Dutch, get to the chopper. And one of my favorites, that I had heard was that whole Billy line. There's something out there, and it ain't no man. And I love that. It's so ominous. So yeah, the first one. But after I got the role, I went and binged the rest of them, because I want to know what I'm getting into here. Taabe is a character that I really felt a camaraderie with, because he's this strong, tough, warrior, but he has this kindness and this kind of goodness that radiates out of him, and that's something that I strive to try and have in my own life if I can. So being able to play this guy as my first character was kind of an honor for me, because that's something I want to bring to the world. Young boys out there, so many, they want to be strong, they want to be tough, but that doesn't mean that they have to get rid of their kindness and their goodness. So that was an honor for me. Yeah, my background, kind of growing up in the Southwest, certainly kind of gave me a good foundation to kind of build Taabe upon. I kind of grew up with a mix of cultures, but it gave me a wide outlook, and kind of a lot of things to take and put into this guy. He's not just one thing. He is emotionally diverse, and you get to see multiple different sides of Taabe throughout the movie, which was fun for me. You get to see him at his best. You get to see him under stress. You get to see him emotionally conflicted talking to his sister. It was pretty special for me. One thing that I love about Dan is he's so easygoing. If anybody had any ideas, he was never too scary to approach. In my last scenes, I wasn't supposed to originally have anything on my face, just the bruises and the cuts that I would have anyway. But I was looking at the blood on myself and the blood all around me, and I was just thinking to Dan, to myself, I want to put something on Taabe to kind of get his groove back, because he's just gone through this horrible experience. He's got to come back with some swag. So I went to Dan and I said, "Hey, can I take some blood and do something to kind of give Taabe a little bit of fierceness for this last bit? And he was all for it. So I give him all the credit. Thank you for listening to me, bud. This being my first acting role, there was a lot of moments where I just kind of had to step back and go, "Wow, this is quite the production." You know, you don't realize how many people go into making a movie until you're sitting in the middle of it and you're watching so many people going by doing their jobs, and it just gives you an ultimate appreciation. And it's humbling for me because I know that my part is only so much. You've got, Grips setting things up just right for you. You've got, the post-production guys, who hold a lot of power in their hands to make you look really good or really bad. So you really appreciate those guys who don't really get seen in the movie. I know without those guys, we couldn't have done it. So I appreciate them.
I would say one of the significant things that makes this movie stand apart from the others in the Predator franchise is that while it is a genre mashup, the original movie being much more of an action science fiction horror film, this movie is more of an adventure suspense science fiction horror film. So the idea for this story originally came from my interest in making a movie that would be told through action. But I didn't want it to just be a visceral experience. I wanted it to be an emotional one as well. So I sought to infuse the story with the engine of a sports movie, of an underdog story. And then in thinking about that, I thought, wouldn't it be tremendous if the making of the movie reflected the story that the character inside the movie was going on. So by setting it in the 1700s and having it be led by a Native American cast and focus on the Comanche, who so often in pop culture and media have been relegated to playing the sidekick or the villain, never the hero, it would just make this experience of watching this movie that much more impactful. This movie was shot almost entirely outdoors. It was particularly challenging trying to ford rivers to get to our location, or snap on snowshoes to get to some of the locations that we had to scout. And chasing natural light, it makes for a long, arduous shoot, but also means that the images that we're capturing are going to be unique and precious and not something that's often seen on screen. I mean, this is the first film in the Predator franchise that features an all-indigenous cast.
A lot of this film was shot at night, just to add the nuance to the Predator. And I really liked it because at night you had the animals coming out and all these other noises and stuff that you wouldn't normally have, if you were shooting in the daytime. So to me, it just added a lot of context. Okay, so because this film is set with the Comanche Nation, and it's actually set with a band of Comanches that are on a hunting trip, storing food and things for winter. It was really important to be authentic and to bring that authentic voice all the way throughout the film. Not only, in the camp that you see, but riding horseback, in wardrobe and costuming, within the face paint. The face paint was created with each of the characters in mind. And it was something that they had a hand in as well, because we had a predominantly Native cast. So it kind of just gave them that extra spirit and protection that you would look for when you're developing that type of paint.